All right, guys, this is a bit of a weird one to film. So I've been talking about perfume on YouTube since 2012. This is my second channel, which I started in 2015, but I had a previous channel in 2012, which is no longer. But that's like over a decade of smelling fragrances, reviewing a lot, talking about fragrances a lot, buying, re-smelling, and being completely jaded by fragrance, you know? When you smell thousands and thousands of bottles, the studio has over 6,000 bottles, by the way. Most things don't surprise you anymore, but there's some that still do, you know? There are some fragrances that do surprise me. And this video is not the best fragrances ever made video. I've done plenty of those. You can go catch those. It's not a greatest hits list. These are the fragrances that when I was smelling off of the strip, I went, wow, what is that? So this is since the beginning of this channel, but I'm including the previous channel as well. So since 2012. So when I smell the fragrance off the strip, I go, oh my God, what is that? That's what this video is all about. So some of these are really beautiful. Some are really weird. Some are dark, very addictive. And every single one of them, it's just like broke through, because after I put my nose to it, I go, wow, I want to wear that. What is that? That is so, so good. So this is my personal wow list. And honestly, it might end up being part one, because as I was putting together a 50 list, kind of increased to around 62. So there's nothing on here. I keep smelling it, but this is what I did. I put my nose to the strip and I said, wow, what is that I'm smelling? And that's what I've put on this list. And it's a deep dive video, and I'm going to give you details of the fragrances. If I can remember them as best as I can, I'm going to tell you about them as I'm talking about the different fragrances. And I've got the lists here. So there's 3 pages. It's about 62 fragrances. And there's some brands that have multiple fragrances and some brands have just one. And I know I've left off a lot of different brands because I just couldn't fit that many in here. But as I was putting this together, I decided to stop at around 62. And I said to myself, there probably will be a part 2 because there have been other fragrances as well. So before I start the video and the list of fragrances, let me know if that's ever happened to you. You know, you got a strip, you sprayed the fragrance on it, and you put it to your nose and you went, oh my God, what is that? I want to wear that one. Let me know if you have a list. Do add a comment below. And I have a note here to myself to remind, because I keep forgetting. So if you haven't heard already, I am moving all shorts videos to another separate channel. And I've decided to do that because shorts hurts channels, because most of my videos are long form and shorts are like really short. Most of mine are around a minute, but they increase the time. So I've done longer ones, but I stopped doing shorts at the end of last October, as it was like really screwing up with the algorithm. And shorts viewers and long form viewers are different audiences. So I've decided to move over my shorts videos to another channel. I won't remove anything that's on the channel already, because that'll screw up the algorithm even further. But any future shorts videos will go to another channel, and I'll link to this channel as best as I can from the other channel. So I already set up the channel. I haven't posted anything there, but I would really be grateful if you went there and click subscribe. And there I'm mostly going to recommend videos really quickly. And sometimes there will be cut-ups from various videos I've done. So if you like shorts content, definitely go there and subscribe, and stay tuned for some new videos to pop up there as well. So let's get started with the list. It's an alphabetical order list. We're going to the house of Amouage. And first fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Beach Hut Man. Yep, that one I said wow to. I really did. It's a very unique smell to me, and it's mint and ivy, and I think there's also galbanum. It's quite bright, but I've traveled in Europe quite a bit, and I go on really long trips there, and I buy products like, you know, shampoo products and things like that. This, I don't want to say it's reminding me of a shampoo, but there's something about it that gives me that kind of an idea. It's like something really unique scented product, scented, you know, grooming, lotiony kind of, but it's also really great as a fragrance, because sometimes I smell some like shampoo or body wash products and I say, oh my God, that smells so good. I could wear that as a fragrance. This is the other way around. It smells so good as a fragrance, I could wear it or, you know, use it as a body lotion or something like that. But it's a super green fragrance. It doesn't really remind me of the beach. It's, like I said, super green with lots of ivy, lots of galbanum, and overdose with mint. And I think the mint, you can spot it, but to me, it doesn't smell like the mint alone. It's kind of blended in a way that you get the touches of the ivy and the galbanum as well in it. But it's super wow. I really, really love the fragrance and how it wowed me when I first put my nose to it. And I said, I want to wear that. It's really, really great. So that's the first fragrance we're starting off with. We've got two fragrances from Amouage. This is Beach Hut Man. So there was, for a while, this was actually also kind of not around. I don't know. It had been pulled or something, or something had happened. I don't know what had happened, but I'm glad to see it back because I absolutely love that fragrance, and I'm glad it's not discontinued because there were some rumors out there that it had gotten discontinued. So glad it's back. So let's move on to Amouage's very first fragrance, which I discovered since the starting of doing YouTube videos. But my discovery of this has been most recently, like within the last 4 years. I discovered it at Neiman Marcus because they put out Amouage there for the first time. And when you're there, you can smell all the fragrances because I used to go there and, you know, visit and check things out. And for some reason, Gold Man, I had not smelled before. And this is a daring fragrance as well, so be warned. It's not typical of other fragrances. It's got civet, and it's got very old school vibes. This is actually from 1988, by the way. I think that's the date it's launched. It's also a green floral that's animalic. So it's got Lily of the Valley. It's super, super musky. And the civet is pretty strong, but it's blended so smoothly. I absolutely love it. I think it's super wow. And being a fan of vintage fragrances, vintage style classic men's fragrances, this does lean feminine, by the way, also. The green floral note does have that, but I really love Lily of the Valley in fragrances. And the fact that it smells super green and fresh and clean, contrasted with the dirtiness of the civet, it's a match made in heaven. Super, super intoxicating. And when I smelled it, I said, wow, where have I been? Why did I miss this fragrance? It's amazing. It's a wow. I want to wear it. And I've worn quite a bit of it. Obviously, as I said, I have over 6,000 bottles here. I can't wear everything too much, but as a smell, this stuff is fantastic. Anyone that's into old school fragrances must get your nose on it. Just imagine Kouros with a floral overdose, a green floral overdose. Because the civet in here does remind me of the civet of Kouros, but Kouros is very rough. There's a roughness about it. This is smoother, but it has that dirtiness of the civet in here, which creates an overdose of muskiness. That is a fantastic offering. There were other Amouage fragrances. Perhaps I'll feature it in part 2, but I wanted to highlight these two. They're awesome. So, Beach Hut Man and Gold Man. Awesome, awesome fragrances. Totally wowed me. Let's move on to the next brand. We're going to the House of Atelier d'Azur. This is first fragrance, Lune Féline. So, I've mentioned this story many times. I first discovered this fragrance in January of 2015, so 11 years ago. It was on my trip to France. I had just gotten to Paris after spending some time in the city of Dijon. Great city, by the way. Great mustard, too. And I went to Javoy for the first time, and the brand had just been put out. And instantly, I went to the packaging. Art Deco is one of my favorite things of all time. And so this is a very Art Deco bottle. and the gold floating in the bottles is also very hypnotizing. So I said, this is awesome. So I didn't buy it on that visit to Javoy because it was my first time there. I went back a few days later before I left Paris to come back home, and I bought a bottle of Lune Féline. And Lune Féline is a kind of a musky, balsamic take on vanilla. It's super spicy. And of course, you got the muskiness there. It's not as animalic as Gold Man. Gold Man is super, super musky animalic. But if you're sensitive, you might pick up the dirtiness in Lune Féline. But I don't think it's that dirty. I think it also has cardamom, creates a fresh spiciness, but lots of balsamic notes. So it's very ambery. So I would say this is like an amber vanilla fragrance. But it's awesome. It's a really, really great fragrance. At one time when I was talking about Vanille Incense from Atelier Cologne, I felt like they had somewhat similarities to each other, but Vanille Incense from Atelier Cologne is a lot lighter. This is a lot more dense. But anyway, that's my experience with Lune Féline. It's so awesome. If you're a fan, let me know. Add a comment below. Let's move on to the second fragrance from the house. Not all the houses that I'm going to talk about have like more than one fragrance. There's a lot with one, by the way. But this is also a super awesome wow moment for me. This is Rouge Saray from the house of Atelier d'Azur. I had Atelier Cologne in my mind because we were talking about Vanille Incense. And Atelier kind of, yeah. Anyway, so Atelier d'Azur Rouge Saray is also very similar experience. This launched at the height of the pandemic. And was it in 2020 when that launched? Or was it 2019? I think it was 2020 because I think in 2019 they were focusing on their Riviera fragrances in the blue bottles. Rouge Saray to me is a really awesome gourmand, but not super sweet and candied and cakey and cookie and creamy. It's an amber in the end. It's also fruity. It's also warm, spicy, and creates this kind of to me, it's kind of a Middle Eastern dessert. So imagine dates and plums, chopped up, dried ones, and smothered with like a very syrupy honey or something, because that's the vibe it gives me. Because this is also full of balsamic notes, just like Lune Féline. And so together it creates this very delicious, dry, fruity, warm, spicy, kind of a balsamic concoction that's to die for delicious. It's so good. Really, really wonderful. Really wonderful. It's got a holiday spice vibe. And so I think I've recommended it quite a bit. It's been in our ScentClub kit. It was actually in our very first ScentClub kit that I put together in June of 2022. Now almost 4 years later. But yeah, this is an awesome scent. Let me know if you've discovered this through my channel, Rouge Saray. I'm waiting for an extrait de parfum of Rouge Saray. I don't know. It might not be one of their biggest sellers, but they have Lune Féline as an extrait de parfum because it is one of their big sellers. So not everything has to be a big seller here. Remember, these are the fragrances that I smelled. I smelled the strip and I said, wow, I want to wear that. So let's move on to a newer fragrance that is a bit hard to get. This is Blender Graffy's Vanilla Mudslide. So this brand I discovered at Petit Fragranza in September of 2024. So this is a brand that also is connected to the brand HUNQ, Hunk. So this is a sister brand of the parent brand company, I should say. And I looked at the collection. There are all these colorful bottles, and also they're in like these cocktail shakers. It's a really big presentation with wooden boxes, and inside it there's a cocktail shaker. And inside the cocktail shaker, there are bottles. I went through the collection and I got to the Vanilla Mudslide. I was like, wow, this is super intoxicating, so super delicious. It's warm, spicy. It's inspired by a mudslide. So it has a vodka note. It has almonds. But I get a tobacco vibe with this, almost reminding me a little bit of a kind of a style of tobacco vanille from Tom Ford, but different. But it's so super intoxicating. Obsessed with this fragrance. Really, really love it. And the problem is it's really difficult to get. The only store that had this collection is ZGO Perfumery here in San Francisco. And they brought the fragrance in several times. Actually, it was in our ScentClub kit. And I just recently found 2 more kits, or we put together 2 more kits and instantly sold out. And so people have been buying the kits because they can't get a bottle. And I think the brand can't keep up with the production of the juice to put to bottle and, you know, send it to its retailers. But I think the last time they sent some fragrances to ZGO, I think they ran out. It was like not even 2 hours because I posted about it and I had to pull the video down because everybody was complaining, God, it's already sold out, because it's selling out really fast. And so I think within the next month or so, I think they'll get more bottles of Vanilla Mudslide. So at that time, I'll post about it. But to me, it's one of the best wow moments for me. It's really, really intoxicatingly delicious. I absolutely love it. Let me know if you've got your nose on Blender Graffy's Vanilla Mudslide. Did you discover it through ScentClub kit? We did about 500 kits of this kit with this fragrance. So we sold quite a few kits of that. And it's an awesome scent. Hopefully you guys will get a chance to try it. It's a vanilla, but again, it's not a sugary, cakey vanilla. It's more spicy. And again, I get tobacco-ish vibes. So anyway, it's an awesome scent. I feel like I lean towards more not super sugary gourmands, but kind of gourmands that are super spicy, maybe musky. But, you know, that doesn't mean I don't care for gourmands. I love them super sweet and candied and cakey. But I think my preference is more, you know, fragrances like Vanilla Mudslide, Tobacco Vanille, which has a little bit of something contrasting with it. All right, so next we go into the house of Boho Boko. It's Jasmine White Leather. So, Jasmine White Leather, it was a surprise wow. Everybody was talking about their wet cherry liquor, their brown sugar, something or other. But this is also a ScentClub kit feature. And it's super unique. Really, really super unique. So, first of all, it's leather. There's definitely like a motorcycle leather jacket energy with this fragrance. It's also a floral note. So it has a nice contrast of flowers, like jasmine. But the two together, you wouldn't think they would live together nicely. They really, really do. There's something vinily, pleathery happening in there as well. And all together, it's not, I don't think it's a very like a mass appealing fragrance. It's a bit daring. I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think like if Macy's sold this in a Dior bottle or something, or a Chanel bottle, people would gravitate towards it. It's an acquired taste for this. And again, it's also in our ScentClub kit, and we still have some left of the fragrance, the kit that features this fragrance. But if you like my taste, you like leather, you like jasmine, definitely try this one because it's super unique and it's one of those wow moments. And the brand, when I first discovered the brand, they had a lot. Actually, I first discovered the brand probably in 2019 at Pitti Fragranza once again. I didn't think twice about them at that time, but they were kind of gaining popularity, and finally they had got them at a retailer here, Ministry of Scent. And I went through the collection and I stopped at this one. I mean, they have other good ones, but this is the one that really shines for me. I absolutely love it and adore this fragrance because it smells super fantastic, unique in a way that there is a very edgy kind of, motorcycle-y kind of rockabilly kind of energy to it. 50s is what I get. 50s motorcycle riding with leather jackets. Anyway, I don't know if you guys do that with your fragrances, but I paint a picture sometimes. Well, not sometimes, all the time when I'm focusing on the smell. So this is Jasmine White Leather from the House of Boho Boko. All right, well, moving on to, let's see where we're at. Another fragrance that we have in our ScentClub kit. This is Born to Standouts, Filthy Musk. Yeah, another animalic one. And this is kind of on the daring side as well. Not everything is going to be daring, but this is on the daring side because it is animalic. But it's also sweet and fruity and boozy, I think. And we have still some of this kit with this fragrance still as well, if you guys haven't discovered Filthy Musk. And I'll link them in the within the video, I should say. But it's animalic, it's civety and scatoli. And of course, it's got pineapple, there's fruitiness, sweet. It's sweet for sure. But if you're at all turned off by animalic fragrances, stay away from this one. If you're at all adventurous, definitely try this one. Really, really awesome. It's my favorite from Born to Stand Out because it's awesome. It smells super, super awesome. I keep saying awesome. It smells super sexy, and it's also very, very long lasting. Really super long lasting. But, they've made the fragrance sweet, but they've thrown in animalic notes that cuts through the sweetness, but you still get the sweetness there. It's there because not only do they have fruity notes, they have vanillic notes, ambery notes, and also I think there's boozy notes here as well. But overall, first it was Sadonaso, which I did a wow to, and it's also here. You'll see it soon. But Filthy Musk, oh my God, it's so good. Really super wow. Let me know if you're a fan. Let me know if it's too daring for you, too animalic for you, too something for you, and let me know if you really love it. And what do you love about it? Let us know, add a comment below. So let's move on to let's move on to the House of Caron. This is Tabac Exquis. Another wow. So I think in 2022, when we started traveling again after the pandemic, I was in Paris and I went to the Printemps department store up on the first floor, which is, the numbering is different in Europe. 0 is the bottom, the ground floor, and then number 1 is the upstairs, which is number 2 for us. I went through the fragrances, and I'm a tobacco fragrance lover, and I knew that this had launched. I smelled it at the Printemps Caron fragrances section, instantly fell in love with it. It's kind of like the idea of tobacco vanille, but rather than vanilla, this is chocolate and cacao. So it's tobacco, it's ashy, a little bit smoky, and lots of chocolate and cacao together. Of course, there's some sweetness in there, but to me, it's super intoxicating. Really, really wonderful experience here with the combo of the chocolate and tobacco together. Oh, it smells so good. Yeah, the only issue with this one, it's a little subtle. I mean, I wish it was a little bit bigger, but just oversprayed a little bit. But other than that, it's a fine example of chocolate and tobacco. And within the fragrance, there's also a slight bit booziness. It's almost like a chocolate liqueur with tobacco, which just is awesome. Really super, super awesome. Definitely a great one. This house has now 4 tobacco fragrances. Tabac Exquis, Tabac Noir. I think it's Tabac Noir. There's Tabac Blonde, which is their early Tabac. I think there's also one more, Tabac Blanc, I think. But this stuff is awesome. If you don't know it, do check it out. It's an awesome scent. I love that fragrance. Smells super, super awesome. It's delicious. Like, tobacco is delicious for me. They kind of bring tobacco into a little bit of a kind of gourmand territory. And remember, I also said vanilla Mudslide also reminds me that there is a little bit of tobacco in there. And I don't think they list tobacco as a note, but the experience of tobacco, slight dirtiness against the vanilla that's in there, that's the kind of vibe it gives me. So I don't know if my nose is what it's picking up. So even though there's no mention of tobacco, it gives me a tobacco vibe. So I really love tobacco fragrances. If you guys didn't know that already, I speak about them all the time, and I'll keep speaking about them because I adore tobacco. I think maybe because I grew up with a smoker. My mother is a smoker still. And I guess I appreciated the smell of tobacco. But also my dad was a cigar smoker. So there you go. Maybe that's what it is. All right, let's move on to a designer house next. It's Cartier's Oud Radieux. Who's familiar with this one? So a fragrance friend or friend in the fragrance community was visiting San Francisco probably, I think it was either 2017 or 2018. And she and her husband came, we connected, and I smelled something off of her. This is what it was. And then I instantly went and got a bottle. Oud Radieux from Cartier is quite amazing, I think. And it might come off a bit simplistic. It's lots of ginger, and it's like the fresh ginger, like the actual root slice, maybe shave it on a grater. And that smell that it's releasing is captured here with a really amazing kind of oud accord that Mathilde Laurent has created. Mathilde Laurent is the in-house perfumer at Cartier, and it might come off simplistic, but it's quite robust and intense. And the ginger is one of the best examples of ginger, I think, in fragrances. One of the best ginger fragrances ever made, I think. It's good. So super good. It's long-lasting. I like that zing, that bite. It's fresh, spicy, but there's deeper oudy, woody notes. And it's a little bit of ambery in the dry down as well. So I know the bottle has changed over the years. This is from like 2018, I think. But the bottles don't look like this. Do I have any of the new bottles? I can't remember if I have any of their new bottles. But that stuff, in fact, there was a friend visiting here one time. He said, what's good? What's new? What have you discovered? We went to the Cartier boutique, and they instantly bought a bottle of Oud Radieux. So I've turned that one on to a few folks that have fallen in love with it. So up next, it's Chanel's Le Lion. One Chanel here in this video, and it's not Bleu de Chanel exclusive. But Le Lion totally wowed me. And I thought, wow, a designer can do a really amazing fragrance like Le Lion. So this launched in 2020 as a Middle Eastern exclusive. And I think by the following year, it was introduced everywhere. And I ordered it. I have no idea who. But this woman who knew me, and she worked for Chanel, I don't know where. She contacted me, and I placed an order through her, and I got it, and she sent some gifts along with it, little samples and things like that. And I smelled it. I said, wow, they really did a great job on this. They did a great job. It's lots of amber. It's very resinous. It's smoky touches, but when you first spray it, there is a little citrusy touch. It does get a little lemony. And of course, it also gets a smoky leathery too, as I said. So for me, it does hint a little bit at something like Shalimar, because it's an amber, obviously. There's a little bit of that happening in here. I also always say that it kind of reminds me a little bit of Kerderussi's smokiness. It's a leather. Maybe a little bit of Coromandel as well, because there is something earthy, patchouli-esque in the base as well. But it's a great fragrance. One of the best from Chanel. It was a wow. And being the amber lover, I've got to recommend that one. That was just super. One of the best fragrances I think Chanel has released. Coromandel I discovered before I did the channel, or the previous channel. So it was something I already knew, but that was, while I've been doing videos, and wanted to make sure this collection of fragrances is all fragrances I discovered since starting doing YouTube. But this next one was one of my very first Creed fragrances. Actually, it was the very first Creed fragrance, and I also did an unboxing on the old channel. This is Creed's Royal Oud. So up to that point, I had never experienced Creed, even though Creed was sold at Neiman Marcus, but I kind of couldn't stand the employees that worked at the Creed counter at that time. Really uptight people who thought they were all hot shit. But But I ordered this and I was like, oh my God, what is this stuff? It's really super. So it's kind of a green, woody fragrance. Not necessarily oody. It's called Royal Oud, but I think they should have called it Royal Wood. Because to me, I get no oud. Well, also, if you think of Western oud, then it won't remind you of the real Middle Eastern oud. Then maybe it kind of makes sense at that time. But for me, it's a green woody offering. Lots of cedar, lots of cedar. I think it also has galbanum and angelica. And some people say it's reminds some of them of a French Lover. I don't get the French Lover connection. I think it utilizes similar notes, but to me, I like French Lover. I love Royal Oud. I think there's something sexy in there. Also, for me, I do get a slight smokiness, which somehow reminds me of like an ashtray. I don't know why. And ashtrays don't have to be dirty, but I'm reminded of smoke, but lots of green. It's powdery. There's a freshness, spiciness, and lots of woods, but somewhat charred woods. Somewhat, not like full on, because it's not super smoky. And it's actually also not burning after it's burned. So there's a little bit remnant of some smokiness. That's really, really great. It's a Julian Rascanet creation. Royal Oud in the 120 ml bottle, which they don't make anymore. Remember, they downsized. All right, up next, we're going to the House of Dior, and we've got 4 fragrances here. 4 whole fragrances, guys. Okay, so the first one, early on, I bought this fragrance on the first channel, and I bought it like 2013. This launched in 2012. This is the original Eau Sauvage Parfum from 2012 in the version with the myrrh note. Nobody had it. I was investigating. Sephora sold it, but I think Sephora sold it online only. And I ordered it. I opened it up. I was like, wow. I know Eau Sauvage. I've known about it, the original in Eau de Toilette. But what is this? This is like super, super amazing. It's taken the original Eau Sauvage into a deeper, darker, resinous, ambery direction while keeping its freshness. So amazing, this stuff. Yeah, this is the previous edition. So this is the version that came out in 2012. And then in 2017, Dior decided to redo it. And then this is the 2017 edition. So if you notice, the labels are different. 2017, silver label. 2012, black label. That's all the 2012 I have. And if you haven't heard that story, while I was in France a couple of trips ago, I walked into a store, and on a tester, they had the 2012 version. And I said, are the boxes that you're selling this version? Because if it is, I'll take one. They didn't know. I had to do a translation. And we opened up a box. No, it was this version, but they had a tester of the old. I said, they're not the same. They have differences in smells. And they didn't really understand me. I tried talking them into giving me the 2012 version. They wouldn't. And anyway, didn't work out. But so the difference between the 2012 and the 2017 version, the 2017, I mean, they still smell very similar, but not as deep as the 2012. The 2017 is utilizing elemi resin, and so they've replaced the myrrh with the elemi resin note. And if you're curious about elemi resin, if you want to learn about elemi resin, there's a video on the channel of elemi resin fragrances. It's a great resin, by the way. Go catch that. In that video, I also talk about the essential oil of elemi resin. It smells great. If you're ever into the idea of discovering notes, and if you can buy an essential oil and try and figure out what your favorite notes or ingredients smell like, essential oils are great. So there is a video with elemi and also davana. Davana is also a great note. Check those videos out if you're curious to learn. But yeah, so they've replaced the myrrh in the 2017 edition with elemi resin. Otherwise, it's the vetiver, the bergamot, and elemi, whereas the 2012 is bergamot, vetiver, and myrrh. So that's the difference. So the 2017 is somewhat lighter, but still, I think it's a great scent. I love the Parfums, and I was wowed by the smell. And next, it's the next Parfum from Dior. And Dior started the Parfum trend. They launched 3 amazing Parfums of 3 of their most amazing fragrances. This is Fahrenheit Parfum. It used to be Fahrenheit Le Parfum. They dropped the LE. And they've taken Fahrenheit into a gourmandish territory or direction. So this launched in December of 2014, I believe. I bought it in January of 2015. The same trip that I bought the Lune Féline from Javoy. I bought the Fahrenheit Parfum at Galerie Lafayette. And I believe it was launched in 2015. I can't quite remember. But I believe the woman told me they just put it out the day before. And it was my last day there. And I bought a bottle and came and, did a review on the channel. But it's taking the original into a soft, spicy, ozonic leather vanilla direction. So the vanilla edition gives it a sweetness for sure, but still contrasted with the ozonic notes of the violet leaves here. So when you smell it, there's a watery effect happening. There's a crispness that's happening from the violet leaves. It's nicely contrasted with the vanilla. There's also like anise, licoricey kind of notes in here, which adds a spiciness, maybe a slight booziness, but it's an awesome scent. I really, really love this. And I was a big fan of all 3 of the Parfum editions from Dior. And I think, as I said, they were the first to do the Parfum editions. I don't think I had seen a Parfum of a men's fragrance prior to the Eau Sauvage Parfum. There might have been 1 or 2, but I think Dior did some great things with their Parfums. And I still think some of the best Parfums out there, Fahrenheit, which has never been, I haven't noticed a reformulation. Maybe they're like light reformulations, but they didn't redo it like Eau Sauvage Parfum. And of course the Dior Homme Parfum, which was disappointing last year. But this stuff is awesome. Check it out. It's Fahrenheit Parfum. Super awesome creation by Francois Demaché. He did some great work there at Dior. And last but not, well, no, we've got 2 more Diors. This is Dior Homme Parfum, the 2014 edition. And I think this one launched, so then, no, I guess I was wrong. I bought Lune Féline the year after I got the Dior Fahrenheit. So this is the one I bought that year of Lune Féline. So I brought this back. So it launched in the middle of the year 2014, and I bought it in December of 2014. I was in France from middle of December until the middle of January, and I brought it back in 2015. So that's the deal. But at that time, I had just discovered Dior Homme Intense and really in love with it. And I couldn't wait to go back. I was wishing and hoping and thinking that maybe, the upper end department stores will be bringing Dior Homme Parfum. They never did. And so on that trip, I brought back 3 bottles, 3 whole bottles. And taking the original Dior Homme Intense, there's also the Dior Homme Cologne and the Dior Homme Sport. And then Macy's launched the Dior Homme O or Low, I think. And into a much sexier, darker, super powdery, creamy, leathery direction. It's lipstick, powder, makeup, leather. The best fragrance, one of the best fragrances ever created, I think. In fact, for me, Dior Homme 2014 and Dior Homme 2020 was definitely my favorite fragrance of all time. beating out other niche fragrances because I absolutely love the way this thing smells. Let me know if you were a fan of the 2014 or the 2020. And maybe you're a fan of the 2025, which smells nothing like this. But this was a wow for me. Major wow. All three of the original Dior Parfums of their designer fragrances, their famous designer fragrances, were wows to me. Instant wows. I just love them because for me, enjoying that concentrated version of a fragrance that you're familiar with just really did it. And again, I still think the two remaining Dior men's classic fragrance parfums are still great. I don't know if they're going to ever redo them. They always, conglomerates do those kind of things. So if you're low, get yourself a backup before something strange like that happens. So the last and final fragrance from Dior, I've got 4 Diors, and I thought Dior for the longest time was the best designer. I mean, sure, Mugler, and I don't have Mugler in this video, probably for part 2, but I always appreciated Mugler because they did a bit more adventurous, I'm not saying daring, but unique and quirky and a bit out there kind of fragrances, but I always felt like there was class with Dior and really appreciated. Again, the Dior men's fragrance parfums were the best for the longest time. And I have one fragrance from the Privé collection, Mitza. That was my very first Privé fragrance. And I bought it here. Well, this is not the one I bought here because I bought a smaller bottle. But this is the version I brought back from the Dior Fragrances boutique in Paris, like 2022. And after that, none of these fragrances were around anymore. But Mitza, the first time I smelled it, it's an amber, by the way. It was, like I said, it was a wow, an instant love. And even though this version was lacking when I first bought it, I think it's been in the box since 2022. It's a backup bottle. It's saved for me to come back to over and over again. And I think it's aged to a place where it smells pretty freaking awesome and like the way I remembered it. I haven't worn it, so I'm not gonna talk about its performance, but when I first bought this and opened it up here, I didn't open it up when I bought it in France, brought it back here, I felt like it smelled a little off, but I think it's all come together smelling great after it's been sitting in the box for a long time. But it's a warm, spicy amber fragrance. And there's a video on the channel, me comparing Mitza to Ambre Sultan from Serge Lutens, which I have here, and also Absolute Pour le Soir from MFK, which I also have here. I find them somehow connected, not identical, but there's definitely overlap with their smells, and they're awesome. But yeah, my very first Privé fragrance, glad to have a backup bottle of it. Let me know if you're a fan of Mitza, add a comment below. Okay, let's move on to the House of Diptyque. And just keep in mind, there might be a part 2 of this. I'm doing what I kind of scanned through the studio and found things or whatever came to my mind, but I didn't include any Muglers here, sadly. But I did include this one. This is from the House of Diptyque with Benjoin Bohème. So this was also a fragrance that I was hyping for a bit because I absolutely love it. So I fell in love with benzoin after buying a bottle of Bois d'Harmonie, which I don't have in this video, but I will for sure have it in the next video. Falling in love with benzoin as a note with this, Bois d'Harmonie from Guerlain, Benjoin 19 from Le Labo, and a few others that I had come across. But this fragrance, the bottle was just stunning, as you can see. One of the most original bottles. And Diptyque had a collection of fragrances from fragrances in similar bottles. I have 2 other fragrances from this collection. There was one with the orange cap I do not have, but I have a green one and a red one. But they discontinued all of those. They kept this one for a long time. And then eventually, a couple of years ago, they moved it into the original bottles, but into more like a luxury collection. So according to Diptyque, this bottle is very expensive to produce. This was also 100 ml. This is also a 75 ml. So there was also that issue. And so for a while, there was limited quantities of this. And then some stores would have them. People would ask me, where can I get one? And I was like searching, contacting Diptyque. This store has it. That store has it. Now it's completely gone and it's moved into the uniform bottles in 75 mLs. But this stuff, it's basically an amber once again, but highlighting the benzoin resin. It's so good. There's lots of resins here. It's for sure a bright amber, spicy, and balsamic. But there's also some earthy notes under there. It stands out. It pushes the brightness even further, I think, those earthy notes. I think there's patchouli in here, so it causes a sexiness. It's really one of the best fragrances from Diptyque. And being an amber lover, warm, resinous, balsamic notes are some of my favorites. And again, benzoin is one of my all-time favorites. It's kind of, it's a resin that's a bit vanillic sweet, but it doesn't have the sweetness of vanilla. And it's a nice combo when they combine vanilla and benzoin together, which they did here. But they have that patchouli in there. And there's a few other resinous notes as well that they've combined together to create this wonderful creation. But yeah, who's got a bottle in this version? I'm gonna check out the original bottle as well. Let me turn this around. But I do have this, and this was an expensive. It was an expensive collection. I think originally when I bought my Benjoin Bohème for the first time in this bottle, I felt like it was lacking a bit of strength, but I think over time it's gotten deeper. But there is a little bit of something different, I think. Let's try it again. Yeah, there's a little bit of something. I think what's happened is the balance is off a little bit. I think it's gotten, like, it's almost like doesn't have a lot of top notes. So I can't smell much when I first smell it, but then I start smelling the fragrance in the heart and the base. I still think the original is better, but I think it's gotten very close. The only thing that I'm thinking is lacking is that I don't smell much at the top. I have to like wait for it to settle and then eventually bloom into the heart and base. So it kind of smells like something. I don't know what they've done. But overall, the DNA is amazing. It was a wow. And I remember I said, wow, at the Diptyque store here in San Francisco. Anyway, let me know if you're a fan of Benjoin Bohème. Are you a fan of benzoin as a note? Do add a comment below. Let's move on to the next fragrance. Let me just get this all put back together. So just to also reiterate, oh, this is backwards. Sorry. So this collection with the gold labels are now considered the upper end collection of EDPs from the brand. They used to have this collection, obviously, but they no longer do. All right, next going to the house of Maison d'Orsay or d'Orsay Paris. This is Tonka Hysteria. I'm sure you discovered this one through my channel because really was obsessed with this. And it's Tonka to the max, sweet and spicy, resinous and ambery, and a little smoky as well, but very glossy. I love its intensity. It's an extrait de parfum. It's not a super gourmand, which again, I've been mentioning earlier. I like these kind of sweet fragrances more than like super duper, like sticky, caramelly, chocolate cakey gourmands. But I would say this is kind of sort of bordering, but it's not quite. But I love the combination of the spices and the intense tonka. So it's nutty, it's a bit bitter, it's a little smoky, it's very spicy. There's lots of pepper here. There's also a little bit of citrus, which I'm picking up top, like an orangey kind of sweet citrus. But all together, it's a great combination. And this is also a fragrance that we featured in our kit. We have just a few more of that kit left. Those of you that haven't tried this, try via the kit. All right, next, it took me 2 tries to go wow with this one. So it's DS and Durga's I Don't Know What. So I tried this at Barney's here. I was like, I think it was on a cold day. And maybe also because this is all molecular notes, my nose hadn't adjusted to it. So I couldn't smell anything. I passed it, I dismissed it. It wasn't until that same year, like 6 months later or 5 months later, I went to LA and I visited the Lucky Scent store at the, not the main one, but the DTLA area. And at that time it was warm, it was a bit humid. And that's like, that fragrance came alive and I was like, wow. My body was warm, I sprayed it on my body and it was like instant love, instant wow. And I said, I got to have this. So I love molecular fragrances. Big fan of the molecule fragrances, the molecule 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. And all the flankers of the molecule 1. They just launched the Cistus and then now they are launching the, was it the, what was it called? I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, this is kind of sort of like that. It's molecular notes. There's ambroxan, there's ISO E Super. It's kind of musky, maybe slightly animalic because there's also Civitone credited to it. But it's considered an enhancer, like their fragrance enhancer. But on its own, it's super sexy. And if you want minimalistic, this is really one of the best. Really one of the best. I didn't put Molecule 1 here because Molecule 1 was a bit of a challenge. I didn't really like it when I first smelled it, and I had to try it several times before I really got into it. This one was twice. First time at Barney's, no. Lucky Scent, like 5 months, 6 months later, wow. And I could smell it, and I thought this was a minimalistic fragrance. On its own, it's great. It's super sexy, very minimalistic and musky. But as an enhancer, you can enhance fragrances with it. I like it on its own. And in the heat, it's the best. It shines in the heat. It shines super awesome in the heat. If you're a fan, let me know. How do you use it? Do you wear it on its own? Do you apply it and then layer other things on top of it, or vice versa? Let me know, add a comment below. But if you haven't tried this, I would say this is kind of acting like, what do you call it? Like a personal musk. It's a personal musk. It's super musky. That's the Civitone feature in here, mixed with all the different musks and the ambroxan and ISOE Super. I think there's also vetiviral acetate, which is like a synthetic vetiver. All of these notes together creates a super sexy musk. Anyway, I absolutely love this. It's a wow for me. I Don't Know What from DS and Durga. It's probably, I think it's definitely my favorite from the house. And they're known for way too many other things. Up next, going to the house of Frederic Malle, we've got 2. First of which is Portrait of a Lady in the limited edition bottle. This is the 15th anniversary bottle that was launched last year. This was a wow. And I've told the story many times. Going back to Barney's once again. Barney's in 2012, buying a bottle of Nasomato Black Afghano, and people were spraying Portrait of a Lady nearby. And my nose couldn't I mean, like, I could smell it. Like, I could, it was just this most intoxicating smell. It noticed it like from far away. And then I had to find out, what is that smell? Please let me know, because I'm going to come back in a couple of weeks and buy a bottle. That's how it was. It was a wow. But what's so special about this? It's patchouli, incense, rose, ambery resinous notes like benzoin. There's, did I say incense? There's incense. There's raspberry, so fruity. It's just a magical fragrance. One of the best fragrances ever created. And when I found out who the perfumer for this is, I started looking for fragrances that he's done. So he's a genius, and he's created some of the best fragrances, but he's also created some duds, which I don't care for. But not everything has to be a masterpiece. This I consider a masterpiece. It's definitely one of the best fragrances ever made. It's a bit sad that it has the name Portrait of a Lady, because I think it turns off some guys. But I don't find it to be super feminine. I mean, it's got a lot of deeper notes. I think maybe the rose might be the most feminine because it has incense, patchouli. There's spices here, warm spices, which I didn't mention. But it's definitely one of the best. Portrait of a Lady by Frederic Malle, created by Dominique Ropion. And then I've got one more Frederic Malle. It's not the one you're going to think it is. It's The Moon by Julienne Rasconet. Yeah, I wore a whole 50 ml bottle of this back when it was like 300 something for the 50 ml. It's now $1,000 for this 100 ml, and I bought it right away, so I probably paid 600 something for this when it had first launched. But I think this is well, we already talked about Julienne's Royal Oud, but maybe this is Julienne's masterpiece, but he's also done 54. This is it's definitely become my favorite Desert Gems fragrance from Frederic Malle. Everything is just perfectly fine-tuned here. The fruity notes, the rosy notes, the oud, which I don't consider an animalic oud like the night. It's definitely more of a Western oud, but there's incensey notes here. There's some leathery notes here, but everything is just perfected in there. Like it's edited. It's not overdosed. It has an ethereal thinness, but it comes with great longevity. It's not animalic, but there's funk there. I think the fruity notes kind of balance out the funk. The rose is not in your face. It's not a rose fragrance. I think the fruits actually stand out more than the rose. The smokiness, the leather, the woods and oud and amber, all of it. It's just perfection. Anyway, if you haven't tried The Moon, I highly recommend you try it. It's quite good. And then we've got this surprise and a viral darling, but actually really awesome. It's Bianco Latte. Yeah, I was wowed when I first smelled it. Like, literally, I make cappuccinos every morning and I froth milk. It's kind of a thick, frothed, velvety, smooth, sweet milk, basically. It's super creamy, velvety, smooth, and basically it's a gourmand. Like, literally, this is a sweet gourmand. It's not like vanilla mudslide. It's not like what else was I talking about? The Dolce Tonka Hysteria. It's not like that. This is like literally a gourmand, whereas those two are kind of gourmand adjacent, but they don't go all the way to gourmand side. But this, it's very cozy too. Like, creamy, milky, lactonic fragrances are super cozy. Like, there's something that comes over you when you wear them. It's soothing. It's comforting. Milk. Yeah, It does a body good, doesn't it? Or does it? Yeah, I just had a cappuccino earlier. Normally, I would have it with milk. I have it with oat milk now. But this literally smells like frothed milk. But not the cheap kind that Starbucks does that all breaks apart. It's like, I hate the foam that Starbucks creates. I mean, the milk has to be this thick, velvet, smooth, but not also dense. I mean, it's dense, but it has to have this right intensity to not like once the coffee touches it, it separates and just becomes liquid. That thickness has to prevail. And this is how I picture and experience Bianco Latte. Anyway, Bianco Latte, wow for me. Great fragrance. And then that's Giardini di Toscana, by the way. I forgot to mention their name. Then we're going to the House of Guerlain, Angelique Noire. And if I do a part 2 of this video, there will definitely be more Guerlain and a few of the other brands. But before I bought a bottle of Bois d'Harmonie, which was my first L'Art et le Métier fragrance, I fell in love with Angelique Noire. This is probably before I even started the channel. I can't believe how good this is. Apparently this is created by Daniela Andrier, who does a lot of, or did a lot of Prada fragrances. But the utilization of this kind of a boozy vanilla with green, powdery, vegetal notes of Angelica is perfection, I think. It's so unique, so clever, so delicious. It's for those that want vanilla, but once again, not too sugary sweet, and also contrasted with the greenness, the powderiness. It's also musky. Angelica is musky, vegetal kind of touch. And it kind of like, you know, crosses out all that extra sugar, extra sweetness. But it was a wow. I was like, wow. The reason I didn't buy it is because the name. And I don't do that anymore, because if I like a fragrance, I just get it. But Angelique Noire, definitely one of the best. If you haven't tried it, please do. The juice has gotten darker too. I think I still have a bottle of this in the previous bottle as well. I don't even know where that is. I got to dig up all my old stuff, because these brands keep changing bottles and resizing. Speaking of that, Javoy, if you haven't noticed, Javoy's bottles are now 75 ml, but I have 100 ml of psychedelic. Yep, this is the same trip as Lune Féline, because I went to Javoy for the first time in January of 2015, towards the end of my month-long trip in France. And so many people on Facebook said, you have to go to Javoy if you haven't been. You gotta go. It's the best perfume shop in the world. And that's what I did. I went to Javoy. But it's weird. The day I went to Javoy, my train was pulling up from Dijon, and on the phone, on the iPhone, it said major terrorist attack in Paris. It was Charlie Hebdo happening, I think, or I don't know what the heck had happened, something. And I went to Javoy for the first time. There was not a lot of people on the streets, and Francois, the owner of Javoy, was there. And he showed me the entire store, and then he showed me his whole brand. And I smelled psychedelic, and I was like, oh man, I'm a patchouli lover, and this is definitely one of the best patchouli fragrances. It's super, super intoxicating. It's long-lasting. It's very boozy, and also chocolate cakey, and very, very earthy. No gourmand notes here. This is not gourmand. It's amber. Amber, vanillic notes, balsamic notes, resinous notes mixed together with that earthiness of the patchouli creates this chocolatey effect, boozy effect. I mean, if this wasn't poisonous, and I'm not sure if it's poisonous, I would drink this stuff because it smells so good. Big patchouli lover, if you guys didn't know. That's good. So that is Psychedelic from Javoy. And I've got to feature this one because it was my experience and it was a wow when it was finished. This is Juice Box's 54. Yep, it was a wow. We accomplished a really awesome gourmand leaning, but not super gourmand patchouli fragrance. Somebody said the other day that this fragrance smells like a campfire. I don't know where they get the campfire from. I would think that psychedelic would smell more like a campfire than this. This is patchouli. It's very earthy patchouli. And you have cinnamon, chocolate, vanilla, sandalwood, tobacco, saffron, davana, cardamom, rum, and pina colada, all in here. Very intoxicating once again. Being a patchouli lover, we set out to do a patchouli fragrance inspired by Studio 54. If it was existing today, this is the kind of fragrance you would wear and you go dancing there and the fragrance would be projecting off of you, people around you, and you would smell your cloud and would ask you what you're wearing. Great longevity for me on my skin. On the dry down, it becomes chocolate milk, but on the dry down, I could smell the tobacco leaves because it's not smoky tobacco. It's more of a leafy tobacco. There's also sandalwood here if I didn't mention. So it gets creamy, but there's also pina colada, which is coconut and pineapple. So it has slight fruitiness. So the coconut, and the creaminess of the sandalwood create a chocolate milk effect on my skin because there's also chocolate in the heart. It's super delicious. If you haven't tried it, please do. I'm very proud of that fragrance. It doesn't smell like a campfire. I don't know where the campfire comes from, but this is Juice Box's 54. It was a wow after we finished it. All right, next, going to the house of L'Artisan. I'm sad to report this is discontinued, but I have to talk about it because it was a wow and I have a great story about it. This is Tea for Two. So, Tea for Two is an Olivia Jacobetti fragrance. When I first started doing YouTube videos in 2012, L'Artisan's bottles were in, different colors. So they had colorful labels and they had gold caps. And so I discovered Tea for Two around 2013. And I don't know how I discovered it. It could have been like at Barney's, and somebody at Barney's showed me a tester and they didn't have any and they said it was discontinued, but I was like wowed by it. Instantly loved it. It's a tobacco, but it's also warm spices. It's holiday. There's ginger and gingerbread in here as well. And I set out to find it. I set out to find this fragrance, and luckily we were going to France again. And I went looking for it. I didn't know much about L'Artisan at the time, so I didn't know they had stores, which they do. But at the Galerie Lafayette, there was a little section of L'Artisan. And they had 2 50 ml bottles of Tea for Two on clearance. I got those two. And I brought them, did a video on the older channel, and started wearing it and really loving this fragrance. And at that time is when I started learning about Olivia Jacobetti and also her collection of fragrances for Yunx, IUNX. Do you remember this brand? It was a standalone store next to the Hotel Coast in Paris. And they had like multiple fragrances there. And anyway, that's another story. But what happened was I did my video and people were like, I did my video on Tea for Two in the previous bottle. And people were like, oh my God, it's the best fragrance. I wish they brought it back. It's discontinued. And sure enough, L'Artisan brought it back just before they were bought out by Puig. And they kept it for a long time. And I think like within the last 3-4 years is when they discontinued it. I don't have another bottle. This is all I have. But it's definitely one of the best. It was a wow for me. And it was one of those that I had to seek out and find and, get. But again, gingerbready, gingery, warm, spicy. I think there's cloves here. There's tobacco. So it's a bit smoky, very spicy. It's like holiday spice in your face. And of course, there's tea because it's called tea for two. Drinking tea and smoking cigarettes, I guess. To me, it's more like cigars because all the warm spices giving me a cigar-like effect because cigarettes are not very fragrant. But so good. Let me know if you've discovered tea for two. It's super delicious. I wish they brought it back. Who knows? Up next, going to the house of Laboratorio Olfativo. It's Vanagloria. Yep. I discovered this one before I discovered Baby Cat. In fact, I reviewed this on the channel. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Dominic Ropillon did a great job. Yeah, I guess people think that maybe he copied number 5 from Rosendo Matu. But for some reason, I didn't connect the two at the same time. But for me, what I liked about this, it's vanilla once again without the gourmand edge. It's got leather, it's got incense, it's got smoky touches, it's got peppery spices, but really nicely done. The rumor is that they're making a extract of Baby Cat. Who knows? But it's definitely one of the best that Dominique Ropillon has done. I love this. But let me know if you've discovered Vanagloria. Let me know if you've discovered Baby Cat. Is there true that Baby Cat's going to be an extract soon? Add a comment, let me know. But sadly, the YSL Le Vestiaire collection is no longer at Neiman's. Yeah. It's at Sephora, though, apparently. But I don't know if the Sephora has it, the one that's near me. Let's move on to Le Labo for one of the best citrus fragrances. It's almost orgasmic when I smell this. This is Bergamot 22. To me, it's one of the most delicious citrus fragrances. I think even though the performance is probably not that great and people complain about it, what they have created here and the kind of notes they've put in here, it is super awesome. So it's green, but it's also juicy bergamot, very juicy variety. It's also floral, very floral, but citrus flowers. And most likely the green leaves of the orange tree as well. And maybe a little bit of musk under there. But again, it is definitely one of the best smells ever, I think. The smell is super perfection. It's kind of inspired by the early eau de colognes like 4711, but more focusing on the juiciness of the bergamot. But it's awesome. It's super, super awesome. I don't know when Le Labo is going to start doing extracts. Because they definitely need them. Because a lot of their fragrances are pretty weak, I think. But as a smell, this is so, so delicious. Le Labo has a few others that I probably could have put here, but I only went with one today. But let me know if you're a fan of Bergamot 22. What do you think about the smell? Add a comment below. Let's move on to Les Eaux Primordiales next. It's Vanille Supermassive. Yeah, this is a great house, a great French house with a really super delicious vanilla. And once again, not the traditional super sweet gourmand. This is also a very masculine leaning vanilla. There's muskiness under there. There's lots of spices. It's on the dry side. There's lots of woods. There's even like aromatic pine notes. But this vanilla. Yeah, I'm a lover of vanilla. And I've mentioned before, I was not a fan of vanilla before. Like 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, I wouldn't come out and say I'm a lover of vanilla. I never did like it. I just thought it was too sweet. But the more fragrances you smell, the more you end up liking different varieties of ingredients. And vanilla has become my second favorite note. I still think patchouli is number one because I find patchouli just super sexy as a note. But vanilla is in a lot of fragrances. Even if it's not this main player, it's in a lot of fragrances as a supporting player. It does a nice job of sweetening up fragrances. But yeah, if you are looking for a vanilla that's on the masculine side, definitely try this one. It's super woody, aromatic, musky, and spicy. It's also very dry. It's a dry vanilla. So that is Vanille Supermassive. Up next, going to the house of Maison Crivelli. It's Safran Secret. So I do have to say, it used to be called Ingredients 07212. It was a fragrance made exclusively for a retailer in Prague. But as soon as I smelled it, I said, wow, this is probably the best fragrance that Maison Crivelli has launched. Although I still am a big fan of Iris Malikan. But to me, there's something super sexy about this. And I'm glad they brought it back as Safran Secret. Who's a fan of saffron as a note? You guys interested in a saffron deep dive? So when they launched it as Ingredients 07212012 or 2012, it was the 10th anniversary of that store, by the way. That store is called Ingredients, and it was opened in July of 2012. So it was made as an anniversary fragrance for the brand. So they hadn't published the notes, and it was kind of like you had to kind of guess what the notes were. But definitely very saffron forward. But I also get vetiver. There's some light amber under there. This doesn't get leathery to me. At least it doesn't smell like leather. It's more like saffron, but with woods. It's a great scent. It's a wow for me. Safran Secret. If you haven't tried it, please do. It's definitely one of the best. It's also long-lasting, but it's not as potent as, I should say, it's not as dense as something like, Patchouli Magnetic or Hibiscus Mahajad, which Hibiscus Mahajad I cannot stand. I don't know what it is about why people find that fragrance delicious. I just can't stand that fragrance. I hate it with a passion. But it smells like medicine to me. Anyway, up next, we are going to the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. It is Absolute Pour Le Soir. This is the new version, not the original. I've stored away my original. Oh, I can smell the dirt. I can smell the funk. Whew, it's gotten really funky. So this has aged to turn out smelling almost as close as the original. There are some differences, but very, very minute, I think. This is an acquired taste, first of all. This is an amber. It's honeyed. It's resinous. It's rosy. Super overdosed with cumin. And it's very, very musky. And I would say it's animalic because it smells like an animal. A sweaty animal. But man, it's good. Definitely the best thing that Francis Kurkdjian has created for MFK. I'm glad they brought it back. It's a limited edition. It was Selfridges exclusive. I think it's sold on the MFK website now. And if you are a fan of musky fragrances, get it. Yeah, it's not quite identical to the original, but it's very close, I think. Oh, God, it's so good. It's so, so good. That is Absolute Pour Le Soir from MFK. You've got to get your nose on it. But yeah, I sampled that around the same time I bought my bottle of Mitza at Neiman Marcus, because Neiman Marcus was the exclusive MFK store. And it was an instant love, but I went back to get it later. It's definitely one of the best out there. You've got to get your nose on it if you haven't yet. But let's move on to the house of Maison Violet, or Violet Parfums. This is En Air d'Apogée. Sadly, I have one of the older bottles. This is a wobbly bottle, but this is also a fragrance I featured in a ScentClub kit. It was kit number 2. It's a Natalie Lorson creation. It's definitely a very airy take on tobacco. It's super honeyed and also kind of grassy, but it's hay as a note. It's not super sweet. It's a leafy tobacco. It's not smoky. But there's also mimosa, and I think the mimosa, they're pulling honeyed qualities of the mimosa. So it's also very powdery, by the way. But there are some old school vibes here. There's a bit of a brute-like quality. It's so good. Really great. So the extract had just come out as well of this fragrance. It's so different compared to this. It has the skeleton of the original, but I felt like the new one is taken into more of a Middle Eastern direction a little bit. What do you guys think? For me, it's all about the original. The original is just a masterpiece, I think. Natalie Lorson does all of the fragrances for Violet or Maison Violet. And it's a resurrected house. So it was a brand that was, I mean, I have videos on the channel. You can catch them. I've shot with one of the founders who's actually visited here. So if you're curious to learn more about the brand, go catch those videos. But for me, this stuff is awesome. But, you know, the new version is good. I didn't say it's bad, but I think I'm partial to the original, because for me, it's when I first smelled it, I said, oh man, that's a wow. Like really, really awesome. It's a tobacco that, not your smoky tobacco, just the leafy and grassy and honeyed kind of tobacco, but super powdery as well. It's really great. And then under there, like I said, there are some slight old school fougere-like vibes happening here, which is also really awesome. So that's En Air d'Apogée from the house of Maison Violet. Up next, going to the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois. This is Ganymede. Yep, Ganymede is one of the best creations in the world of perfumery, also by Quentin Biche and, of course, Marc-Antoine Barrois. Very unique, but total signature of Quentin Biche. This is very, well, I think there might be similarities to ingredients, because I think the saffron is quite prominent here, but it's acting different because this also has immortelle. It has violet leaves. It's ozonic. It's minerally, a little bit musky and fruity, because there is definitely something appley happening. You can also get the appley effect from violet leaves. So there's definitely a crispness here. But on skin, it's super sexy, I think. Really, really awesome. I love the way that smells. You a fan of Ganymede? Do you prefer the extract, or is it all about the original for you? Let me know. Add a comment below. Up next, going to the house of MDCI. This is Chypre Palatin. This is, I've got 2 fragrances from this house, and this is my favorite from this house. It's a Bertrand Duchaufour creation. I think this is misnamed, miscategorized. I don't know what it is about it, But I think it's covered up with notes that takes the fragrance to another category. But beneath those notes that take it to another category, there is a Chypre presence there. Because it's ambery, resinous, balsamic, spicy, powdery, and there's also a bit of funk. But once you get past those ambery, resinous, balsamic touches, you can kind of pick out a little bit of the Chypre skeleton in there. But man, it's good. It's so good. There's a fuzziness about it, and I think that's what's creating the muskiness. I love this fragrance. I could drink it, but I won't. Who's a fan of this? I would consider this one of the best fragrances ever created. I think it's that good. Chypre Palatin from the house of MDCI. Up next, going to the house of Mise en Cire, it's For Your Love. Yeah, it was an instant wow. So, for a long time, I really didn't appreciate Baccarat Rouge. And this came out, I think, in 2019. And it was just like late 2018 is when I started like appreciating Baccarat Rouge. And I was addicted to the smell because I would smell it everywhere, especially when I walked into Neiman Marcus. There was a big cloud of Baccarat Rouge there. And when this came out, I was like, it's not quite Baccarat Rouge because I can smell Baccarat Rouge everywhere. This kind of reminds me of it a little bit, but it's not. But I love the way it smells. So it's a Alberto Moria's take on something Baccarat Rouge-like. It doesn't smell like Baccarat Rouge, but it has some of the ingredients of it. This also has fruits and benzoin as an ambery note. It also has patchouli, but there are kind of proprietary ingredients that he's thrown in from Firmenich that act like some of the notes that are in Baccarat Rouge. I love it. It's super sexy. It shines in the heat. Long-lasting, great cloud, great sillage, addicting smell. And I just bought a new bottle. I did a video on promotions on these fragrances. They were like 50% off, 60% off. Go catch my video. There might be still some promotions happening. And I bought my bottle for $100. And it's like usually around $220 for this. I have all of the products tagged as much as I can, guys. So if you're in the market for any of these fragrances, you can buy them. And I will also tag some of the ScentClub kits that we have some of the fragrances featured in, so you can take advantage of those. But next, going to the house of Naso Mato, it's Sado Naso. Yeah, for me, Filthy Musk and Sado Naso are kind of similar, but different. Sado Naso came out before Filthy Musk. And even though Sado Naso is a extract and Filthy Musk is not, go catch my video with June of Born to Stand Out. He says he over-delivers, even though he puts eau de parfum. They're sometimes extract concentration. So go catch my video with him. He'll explain that. But going back to Sado Naso, it's another musk. It's a sweet musk, ambery. Not as animalic, I think, but I think it depends on the person smelling this. Because to me, Filthy Musk is dirtier, but also Filthy Musk is sweeter and it's louder. This is a bit more subdued, even though it's an extrait de parfum. But this is also maybe a little bit more personal. It's like acting like a personal musk that's sweetened and ambery and animalic. It's great. I love it. I love musks. Musks are some of my favorites. I gotta thank Original Musk for that. But Sado Naso, really, really awesome stuff. Are you a fan? Or are you not into the animalic qualities of that one? Okay, up next, going to the house of Nishane. It's Ambra Calabria. Wow, total wow for this. So super original. It's just like, wow. Being a lover of ambers and then smelling this and lover of green fragrances and citruses, it's combining all those elements to create Ambra Calabria. So unique, so original, so amazing, so awesome to wear. So it's an amber and vanillic fragrance in the end, which is in the base. But up top, you've got bergamot, which kind of leans a bit green. There's some green notes in here. I think there's galbanum. And then you've got vanillic notes. Did I mention that? So it's green notes, galbanum, bergamot, and a few other notes to create for this really fresh take on amber, vanillic amber. So basically, if you're, maybe not that interested in amber, you think it's too heavy, becomes too vanillic, resinous, amber, balsams, you want something fresh, like a fresher take on it. This is your starting point right here. And you have to appreciate green notes because it is quite green, but super original. Like, who came up with this idea and did a great job with this? I think the perfumer is Jorge Lee, but oh man, they did a great job with it. Again, definitely, it was a super wow when I first smelled it. Like, wow, wow, wow. Let me know if you're a fan. I don't think this is one of the popular fragrances from the house. I think an equivalent of that one might be, God, I'm drawing a blank. The tea fragrance. It's the tea fragrance. I think they're kind of similar, but not quite. This is fresh, but it's got a deeper base, whereas it's Oolong Cha is what I was trying to remember. Oolong Cha is all fresh for me, but this one, since it has the vanilla and the ambery notes in the base, it does have more depth to me in comparison to Oolong Cha, which is all very fresh. But if you like that one, try this one and see. Maybe you won't like the amber and the resins in the base, but I think it's fine the way it's done. Super, super fine. All right, that is Ambra Calabria from the House of Nishané. Remember, I might be doing a part 2 of this, so if I don't feature your favorite fragrance, stay tuned for another part. But in 22, when I traveled to France again after the pandemic, I stopped into Javoy and I discovered Royal Incense. And I was like, wow, I was so bored of incense, but I like that they put it with sweet honey. It smells so good together. I wore so much incense when I first started doing this. Like, I was a big fan of Comme des Garçons Incense Avignon. It's kind of one of the fragrances that kind of got me to familiarize myself with Lucky Scent, because my sister sent me a candle from there and they had provided some samples, and I got the entire incense series in samples sent to me. And I was like, whoa. And then I got bored of it because it just feels cold. It's not like, it kind of comes off a bit one-dimensional. That's kind of why I like Vanagloria, because it's sweetened up a little bit with the vanilla. And then kind of similar here with Royal Incense, it's sweetened up with the honey. But what I also like about this, it kind of, in the background, reminds me a little bit of the discontinued fragrance from by Kilian called Incense Oud, which was a green incense. But this also has rose. And I think Incense Oud also had rose by Kilian's Incense Oud. But I like the contrast of the smokiness of the incense, the resinous touches, with the sweet, powdery honey. I think it's a match made in heaven. The best fragrance from this house, hands down. In fact, we featured it in a ScentClub kit. We sure did. It's so good. Really, really awesome scent. Have you tried it? Did you discover it through ScentClub? Let me know. Oh, it's good. What I also like to do with that, since there is rose in there, I layer it with Paris Monte Carlo's Rose de Taif Extrait. So it brings out more of a rosy boost, because there's no rose mentioned in here. I think there's geranium from what I remember. And the geranium maybe acts a bit like rose because you can bring out rosy nuances from geranium. But since there is a rosiness, I just boost it up with Paris Monte Carlo's Rose de Taif. So it creates a bit of a rosy experience. But so awesome, that one. That is Oman Luxuries Royal Incense. And up next, we've got Oriza El Legrand's Mousse. Chypre Mousse, I should say. Chypre Mousse. Cypress moss. Well, it's a Chypre is the style. And the name Chypre for Chypre fragrances comes from the island of Cyprus, not from the tree. Okay, this was like a, whoa, what the heck? Wow, what is that? Kind of a wow. This is so unique, so earthy, so mossy, very vegetal, but super awesome fragrance. So they utilize earthy notes, soil tincture, green aromatic notes. In the end, it's a kind of a green earthy Chypre. Chypre is, they have videos on the channel on Chypres if you want to find out what they are. It's a style of fragrance that's not made too much anymore. This is also a fragrance house that's been resurrected. And this is an older fragrance that's been brought back. So they recreated an older fragrances formula, and that's what they came up with, but they did an amazing job with it. It's just really, really awesome. There's fennel here. As I said, there's mushrooms, there's oak moss, earthy notes, soil notes, things like that. But it's all on a bed of a mossy formula. It's a wow, total wow. Chypre Mousse, so awesome. It's also a bit vegetal, by the way. And then this one, Papillon Perfumery's Salome. This is another daring fragrance, but it's a wow. It's a super wow. If you're not into daring, dirty, this is a Chypre also, by the way. Oh, wow. It has gotten so strong. Woo! That is super strong. It's quite animalic, but I love it to death. So, first of all, there's 3 varieties of animalic notes in here, or is it 2? I know they have Hyraceum, and it's not civet, is it? Castoreum, acting a bit like leather. To me, this Papillon Perfumery's Salome is like a recreation of a older fragrance called Bala Versailles. Bala Versailles has lost its animalic touches. You can get it here. But be warned, this is super, super vintage and super, super dirty. If you don't like dirty, stay away from this one. Not only is it sweaty, but it's got an animalic funk big time. It's interesting. This is so super animalic to some people. I absolutely love it. And then there's some animalic fragrances some people love, and I can't get with it. So it's like there's a weird thing happening. Some people that love animalics think this is way too animalic, and I absolutely love it. And vice versa. So our noses are strange. But this is probably one of the most daring in this whole collection. It is really, really overdosed with animalics. But it's obsessive. Salome. All right, next. Oh, we have to go to the next page. I forgot to advance. We're already down one. Okay, next, go into the house of Parfums de Marly. It's Herod. Yep, it is Herod. Still my #1 favorite from Parfums de Marly. There are others that I like, but to this day, Olivier Pechot did such an amazing job on this. Rest in peace, because that perfumer died. This was my very first. It's my very first Parfums de Marly, and still my favorite. It's another tobacco. It's slightly sweet, a bit fruity, very like warm, spicy, and vanillic ambery. But the tobacco is, I kind of think they kind of have like a fusion of a little smoky and a little leafy tobacco in here. But I blind bought this in 2014. It came, I opened it up. I did a video, but it's not, sadly, I don't have it. But you know what? I have all of my old videos from the old channel on a hard drive. But anyway, that's another story. I don't even know how to open up a hard drive anymore because that's been so long. But it came, I opened it up and I smelled it. I was like, wow. It's the tobacco. The only complaint I have with this, the way it's created, it's not as loud as some of the other Marley fragrances, but I think it's still amazing. Tobacco lovers, the top 5 note for me. For sure, it's just really, really great. I think, I also find this super sexy. Really awesome. Yeah, the perfumer, Olivier Pechot, passed away, sadly. Going back to the house of, well, I'm not going back to the house. This is the first time I'm talking about it. This is Perfumes d'Ucita with Fleur de Lalita. And if you haven't caught my video with about Perfumes d'Ucita, I just did one, and it's a deep dive on the entire collection. And she is going to be doing a tour of, like she's going around a few stores in the country. And she'll be stopping in at ZGO Perfumery on the 31st. If you want to meet her, you can come. And this is another fragrance, Fleur de Lalita, that we featured in our ScentClub kit. It's a masterpiece, I think. Okay, the first time I smelled it, and I was like, wow, why is that so super sexy? And the way it's created, it's with flowers, it's green notes, earthy notes, together, very, very intoxicating. And I discovered it in Florence, and it was hot and humid. So wearing this on skin made it smell to die for, delicious. It's a floral. It's a floral fragrance, but it's a green floral fragrance. It acts like spring. It's fresh, so that's why in the heat, the humidity, the notes just totally came alive on skin. Great projection as well, but keeping in mind, you got to overspray if you want projection. It's good. Definitely one of the best smells. And it was a wow when I first smelled it. Fleur de Lalita from the house of Perfumes d'Ucita. And where's the next fragrance? Oh, it's up here. Oh, no. So we're going to the house of Parlez-moi de Parfum, Wake Up World. It's funny, back to back, these two fragrances were in the same kit. Kit number 5. We had Wake Up World and Parlez-moi de Parfum, Wake Up World, and Fleur de Lalita from Perfumes d'Ucita. Whoops. So why was this a wow for me? I will show you. I thought I brought it out. Yeah, I did. So, sorry about that. Too much in my hands. So, Parlez-moi de Parfum, Wake Up World is created by Michel Almerac. In fact, all of the fragrances of Parlez-moi de Parfum are created by Michel Almerac, and the store is run by, not the store, but the brand is run by Michel Almerac's, one of his sons, Benjamin. So, I had bought a bottle of Minotaur. I wore this back in 93. New version sucks big time. It's just water and sweetener. That's what it is. It's bad. It's a bad reformulation. Bad reformulation. So when I smelled Wake Up World, I was like, he's recreated the smell. And it smells like I remember it smelling like when I was first wearing Minotaur back in 1993 and 1994. Exactly that. Not identical, but it's that same fragrance, but in a much more vibrant form. Whereas the other one is just like sugar water. This is doing the job. It's a fresh amber, and it's sweet, but not super sweet. It's a bit citrusy, and it's a bit floral, and then there's musky notes in the base as well. But I was like, wow, he really redid that fragrance, and he brought it back to life after L'Oreal butchered the heck out of freaking Minotaur. The new version sucks. So Paloma Picasso fragrances are under L'Oreal, and they're really, really badly reformulated. I don't see the L'Oreal, but I know it's under L'Oreal. But if you were a fan of this and you don't like the new formulation, go with this because it's really good. Really, really great. It was a wow for me. Anyway, that's Parlement de Parfum Wake Up World. Up next, going to the House of Paris Monte Carlo. This is Vanille de Tahiti. This was a wow. I was like, wow. No, this was like, this is a little animalic. It's another vanilla that's not super sugary gourmand. It's boozy, floral, musky animalic together. Again, it's not a gourmand, but the vanilla is the boozy variety and super dense, intense, but so super delicious, guys. This is like, wow. I don't know. I know some people say this is way too animalic for them, but my nose doesn't reveal the animalics too much. It's covered up nicely. And it wears so nice, this fragrance. So nice. There's a thick, almost like dense creaminess here. And I think it's the fact that they're using flowers. There's magnolia, I think, here. There might even be champaca flower. But I think it's the floral notes that's giving it a bit of funk. But, oh man, it's super intoxicating. Super, super delicious. The vanilla in here, like, it's like almost like the vanilla in Spirituous Double Vanille. So it's super boozy and reminds you of that cooking vanilla, but on the sweet side. But it's nicely balanced with everything else that's going on in here. A lot of different flowers. I think there's magnolia, champaca, and I think there might even be ylang ylang here. But there's a slight warm spiciness here as well. That is super awesome. Let me know if you find it to be very animalic, or let me know if you find it not to be animalic. There's also a EDP version of this in the tall bottle. For me, this version rocks. I love it. But again, going back to what I said about this fragrance, Salome, I love the animalics in here, but a lot of people find it to be super, super raunchy. So my nose, I don't know, my nose adjusts and tolerates different levels of animalics, but I don't get the animalics much with Vanille de Tahiti. I had to really study it to see where it was coming from. And I kind of got that it might be from the flowers. There's definitely something, there's a funk there. But again, for me, it's covered up nicely. All right, up next, going to the house of Rogue Perfumery. It's Mousse Illuminee. Are you a fan? So this is a fougere, but I do think that it has some Chypre tendencies. I think the moss in this reminds me of the moss in Chypre Mousse a little bit. So this is mousse. That's Mousse Illuminee. We're talking about moss, oak moss. What a great fragrance this is. This is also one of the fragrances we featured in ScentClub Kit. You know what? I think I have to do a video of all of our ScentClub Kit fragrances so that you guys get an idea of the fragrances. I think I'm going to do that. We're launching a new ScentClub Kit. Stay tuned. There's one fragrance in there that's brand spanking new. Should be getting a launch like very soon, and we've got it in our kit. So we're dropping that very soon. So stay tuned. But I think I'm going to put together a video of all of the fragrances we've featured in our regular ScentClub kits. Not the mystery boxes, because those are like a lot of fragrances in a box. Since the ScentClub kits are 3 each, and we'll be at 18 very soon, I'll do that video soon. But Mousse Illuminee, man. Green, aromatic, spicy, mossy, barbershop-y, and boozy. This has Artemisia. It's one of the best fragrances ever created, I think. Do you like this one? Let me know. We do have some of those individual samples still selling in our store. But up next, we've got Serge Lutens. We've got 2 of them. And it's interesting how I have the 3 fragrances that I did a video of together back in 2019, mentioning how these 3 fragrances remind me of one another, which is Ambre Sultan by Serge Lutens and Absolute Pour le Soir from MFK and Mitza. If you want to watch that video, go catch it. But I get similarities from all 3. Ambre Sultan didn't have animalics at all, but it was a very aromatic take on a gorgeous resinous amber, balsamic amber fragrance. And then I felt like Mitza did have some slight funk, but not super, but it was honeyed because it has honey in it. And I think the honey sometimes brings out funk. And in Absolute Pour le Soir is also honey, and he's really brought out funk out of it. Plus he's thrown in the cumin in there. This one to me felt like the safest, but still one of my first amber fragrances. It was a blind buy, and it was an instant love. I was like, damn, that's good. Where have I been? All I've been doing is like designer fragrances. This stuff is so amazing. So what I like about this one, there's these green aromatic notes thrown in and contrasted with the resins and balsams. Is it oregano? It's either oregano or thyme, but it smells, I mean, it's not like super standout, but it's there. You're reminded of it. Oh, it's good. Really great. And I don't say that they're identical, Absolute Pour le Soir, Ambre Sultan, and Mitza, but there's something related. Not intentionally, just smell-wise. But it's a wow. This is a wow. There's so many wows from Serge Lutens. So many. I wish I could have more fragrances from the house. But a lot of their fragrances folded from the tall, thin bottles into, in the bell jars, unfortunately. That's what happened with those. But this is great. And then I have to have this one here. So I have 2 from the house. Fia Nagui. Oh my God. It was an instant wow. Like, I love pine in fragrances, but this had fruity notes. It has smoky incensey notes. It's kind of frosted, but kind of a pine foresty, cool and warm at the same time. A bit of a fire, smoky incense. Christopher Sheldrake, he is a genius perfumer. So grateful that I got to meet him and talk to him about Spaturno fragrances. Have you guys discovered Spaturno yet? Let me know, add a comment below, but I think he's one of the best. I mean, you could see all the different fragrances he's done for Serge Lutens. So original, so unique, not smelling like a lot of other fragrances. But I think this is a masterpiece right here. It's literally a wow. Wow, wow, wow. I've turned this one on to friends. They're obsessed with it as well. They love it. All right, that's 2 fragrances from Serge Lutens, Ambre Sultan and Fia Nagui. There's more, but I had to cap it there. The only one that had the more fragrances was Dior. But again, there might be more on part 2 if I do a part 2. But let's move on to Sospiro. This is Dolce Melodia. Yep. Another fragrance that's featured in our ScentClub kit. And it definitely deserved it. First of all, this is kind of like the thing I was mentioning about Born to Stand Out's Filthy Musk. It's an eau de parfum, but it acts like a extract, super potent. Same thing with this. It's an eau de parfum, but a lot of these fragrances from Sospiro are so beefy and intense and very, very long lasting. For me, this is fruity, floral, ambery, woody, and very spicy, and it reminds me of some Xerjoff fragrances, but because, Sospiro was part of Xerjoff at one time. But it smells fantastic. It smells really, really delicious. I've worn so much of it. I've taken it on trips. I have a second bottle that I carry around. and it's one of those fragrances that I can't get it out of my mind, because I put it on and then I wear it and I wake up the next day and I'm like, where is Sospiro's Dolce Melodia? I want more. And to me, it's still my favorite Sospiro fragrance. Are you a fan? Dolce Melodia from the house of Sospiro. Let me know. If you got the kit, you might have discovered that through our kit. But next, going to the house of Tower Perfumes. L'aile du Desert Marocain. Yep. This is definitely deserving of this list. I could have left it for the next video, but I wanted to feature it here. It's another amber. Yep. It's another amber, but totally different than all the ambers I've talked about. Totally different. First of all, it's dry and dusty and ambergris, and also green and spicy. So the greenness is the citrus. It's the petitgrain note. You can totally smell it in this. I mean, petitgrain is the leaves of the orange tree, the bitter orange tree. So it's there. You really, really, I mean, it stand out. There's also coriander here. But it's one of a kind, awesome, wow fragrance. Definitely a masterpiece. L'aile du Desert Marocain from Tower Perfumes. And then we're going to the house, well, two Swiss brands back to back. Tower Perfumes is Swiss, and then we've got Thomas de Monaco and the original Raw Gold and the follow-up of Raw Gold, the redo. So those of you that have wondered why they were different, I don't know why, but the first version was done by a different perfumer, and then the follow-up was done by another perfumer. So maybe the perfumer that did the first version wasn't available to do the others or follow-up to it, and they had to reformulate it or something. But there are differences, for sure. I think the first one is a bit boozier and a bit more animalic. Yeah, there's definitely differences. But as soon as I put my nose to this, I was like, in heaven. It's the kind of fragrance that I really, really love. It's a bit animalic, and I've read from people, because when I first started wearing it and testing it and wearing it and promoting it here, people were saying, oh my God, it's too animalic for me. Yeah, there's animalics here, but I don't get them as much as you might. You might be sensitive, and as I've been mentioning, I'm sensitive to certain things, and Salome is super animalic for a lot of people. It's not that much to me. I mean, I can smell the animalics, but with Raw Gold, I didn't get it. I just got that kind of patchouli, honey, vanilla, lipstick, leather combo with the barnyardy hay note that came off a bit tobacco-ish. I think it's a masterpiece, personally. And there's definitely the follow-up is tame, much tamer. And I think, I don't know, is it because it wasn't received that well because it was animalic that they did it? I don't know, but all I know is I actually enjoy both versions. But the redo is definitely a bit more mass appealing. And the redo is much more mass appealing, and the original is definitely more daring. And you can totally pick up the hay. And I think that hay gives you a bit of a barnyardy kind of effect. But so good. I wore so much of it. I do have a backup. This is bottle number 1238 out of 1400. All right, up next, going to the house of Tom Ford. We've got 3 fragrances from Tom Ford. I'm going to go with Noir de Noir first, right here. Yeah, this was like It was a rose fragrance that was unlike anything else I had smelled as far as roses go. And this was a very early discovery for me within the journey of doing YouTube videos in 2012. 2013 is when I discovered it. Like, once I started doing videos and I got into the community, I started going to look for fragrances that people were talking about. And I mean, this was also copied quite a bit, but I consider this one of the best fragrances Tom Ford has ever launched. It's mossy, it's earthy, it's a bit oudy, but rosy, but it's a dark noir kind of rose. It's not a jammy, juicy, bright rose. Vampire comes to mind with this one. But it's a masterpiece. I hear that this is Jacques Cavalier. I can't remember 100%. Is it? I think it is. And nothing like what he's done with, you know, Louis Vuitton. And then I gotta mention this one here. I've got 3 Tom Fords. This is Tobacco Oud. This is also a wow. It's a super wow. And being the tobacco lover, yeah. This is also on the dirty side. It's not mass appealing whatsoever. Like, but I like that dirtiness and booziness. It's a bit cumin spicy. It's ashy. It's like an ashtray with, you know, drinking whiskey or something. But it's a job well done. This launched, I think it was around 2013. They redid Oud Wood and put it in the gray bottle because it used to be in the brown bottles before. And they relaunched it with Oud Fleur and Tobacco Oud and Oud Wood. I remember. But this is definitely, it's lingering around. It was still selling, it was still selling in Europe, but not in the States. And I've pointed it out many times. If I find it online, I've mentioned it to you guys. And I recently bought 250 mLs. I found them online. And if I find more, I will mention it to you guys because I know it's on its way out. But it's definitely one of the best from Tom Ford. And it was a wow. This is more ashy also. As I'm mentioning, ashtray comes to mind. It's quite dirty. All right, and then the last Tom Ford, we've got to feature the other Tobacco Vanille. Tobacco Vanille, yeah, I haven't done it for Thanksgiving for a long time. I used to wear this for Thanksgiving a lot. And when we connected with family, everybody would be asking what I'm wearing. Because it's got a very holiday spice vibe. It's got, you know, the clove spice, maybe a little cinnamony, maybe a little bit of ginger, slightly fruity, but dry vanilla and, you know, the tobacco, the dirty, ashy, but not as ashy as Tobacco Oud. But I think also, once again, one of the best Tom Ford fragrances ever created. There was a group of Tom Ford fragrances that I completely missed. I'll have to go through the whole list, and I'll have to do a Tom Ford deep dive sometime soon. But there was a whole group that I missed. But I think the ones that I always felt like were the best was the green fragrances, the vert fragrances. Those were like some of the best, and they came out in like 2017. It was Vert Bohème, Vert Fleur, Vert de Bois, Vert de Incense. All 4 of those amazing, amazing fragrances. And the one I regret not buying is Sahara Noir. It was so good. But yeah, this Tobacco Vanille is also a masterpiece, I think. Let's get a parfum of Tobacco Vanille, don't you think? All right, up next, a most recent fragrance, Trudon's 45 Degrees. You know, there's fragrances that you have to get used to, and there's fragrances that you smell. They're like, wow. That's what this is. I love this because it's super creamy, but there's no milky notes in here, or creamy notes. It just comes off super smooth, velvety smooth, creamy, but also melted waxy. And it doesn't smell like wax. It's just like, it's almost like I could pull the texture of this fragrance, pull it apart like cheese, kind of pulling, you know, like when you bite into a pizza and it's like pulling the cheese. Kind of gives me that kind of a vibe. But that's what I love about this. But it's rose, it's sweet. It does remind me a little bit of something like Guidance. I don't know why. Or Empatia. And I haven't seen the name of the perfumer, if anybody knows. I have a feeling it's created by a Gévaudan perfumer. I have this strange feeling. Because I feel like the ingredients they're using is smelling like some of the stuff that comes out of Gévaudan. But it's really long lasting. It's honey, by the way, if I didn't mention. And I think it's that smooth creaminess that's giving me this kind of like you can stretch it, you know? There's that kind of like stretchy kind of smoothness in here. So I think this is the newest fragrance in this video that I've put in this video. The newest fragrance. It's so good. 45 Degrees by Trudon. And if you guys don't know who Trudon is, Maison Trudon is a candle maker. And they have some of the best candles ever. All right, up next, going to the house of Unui Nomad. It's Jardins de Misfah. Yeah, Jardins de Misfah is one of those fragrances that's love at first sniff. I'm keep bringing up the pandemic, but it's the pandemic, you know. We went through like 3 years of it. So in 2021, when they had lifted the curfews or whatever they're called, I forgot the name. So we were walking around, a friend of mine, actually it was Dahlia, if you guys don't know her, she does videos with me. We went to ZGO Perfumery and they had just brought in the brand, and I discovered the fragrance there, and I was like, this was an instant love. It was wow. Like, I got to buy this bottle. And they only had the 50 ml, and I bought the 50 ml. I wore it all. I mean, I wear it in the heat because in the heat it smells really great. And then here's the 100 ml bottle. What I like about it is it's got saffron, it's got rose, it's got dates. But what I like about it is it's a bit tart and astringent. That's kind of what I like about it in the heat. And I mention this all the time in videos. Tart fragrances smell really great in the heat. I don't know why. But definitely one of the best fragrances ever created. Love this fragrance. The extract is good too. I think the extract is much deeper, but I think the original is just fine. And then, well, yeah, this is also from last year. Well, I think I have a few fragrances from last year, but I think from this year, there's only one. This was the only one from this year, I think. Trudon's 45 Degrees. But this is Xerjoff's Louis 15, 1722. I discovered this at Neiman Marcus, by the way. And I was like, it's a fougere with champagne, but it's so super smooth in the base. Wow. So it's a very modern fougere, I think, but it's also super, super expensive, I have to say. I just featured it in a video of deals. So I'll be doing a lot more videos on deals. Stay tuned for those. But I'll try and tag all of these fragrances with the best, deals you can get them at. And so if you're in the market, they're all tagged by timestamp. So when I'm talking about a certain fragrance, it should pop up and you can click on it and it'll take you to the retailer at the lowest price. So, but going back to this fragrance, I think I like the smoothness of the woods in the base. It's super smooth and creamy. And I like the aromatic notes for the barbershoppy effect. I mean, it's not a traditional barbershoppy fragrance, but it has a lot of those qualities. And then the fizzy, sparkling effervescence of the champagne. To me, it's not super fizzy, unlike the women's version that came out this year, which is the rosé, which is a lot more fizzy. This, to me, has some bubbles, but It's a woody aromatic fougere. Very modern, super sexy. Great fragrance from Xerjoff. It was a wow. This is Louis 15 1722 from the House of Xerjoff. And we have one more fragrance left. Last but not least, I'm featuring this one here. It was a surprise. Wow. This is Zoologist Perfumes Dodo. I mean, after smelling the original Dodo, I was pretty freaked out to smell this one. But I was so surprised how good it is. And it also turned out to be another fougere, a fruity green fougere. Yep, you can totally smell it. But it's like, it reminds me, it's got some vintage vibes for sure, but it's quite modern. The fact that it's green and it's fruity. Who's a fan? It's got jackfruit as a note because it's called the Jackfruit Edition. It's so good. I think if I do another video, I'll probably include another Zoologist Perfumes fragrance, but I wanted to highlight this one because it's also in one of our latest kits. But it's a fougere like nothing else that I've smelled. The fruitiness is just, it's the surprising part. And then also, it's a wow because it's so much better than the original. The original I cannot wear. It's so sweaty. But this one, they did a great job. It's a perfumer by the name of Yves Cassar. Yeah, he's with IFF, I believe. And these are also Extrait de Parfums. Again, definitely one of the best from Zoologist Perfumes. I think I have to do a Zoologist Perfumes deep dive video. We'll do that sometime soon. But that's the end of the list, guys. What are your thoughts on these fragrances? Let me know. And do let me know also if you've had the same experience with some of these fragrances. Or if you had, like maybe you had a very negative reaction to something like Salome or Filthy Musk. Do add a comment, let me know. And also let me know other fragrances that I did not discuss here if you've had that kind of a wow reaction. Do add a comment so I can find out. Thanks so much for watching today. Do you want me to do a part 2 of this video? If you do, maybe I'll wait for a bit and then do it much later. But again, thanks so much for watching. As I said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please click the subscribe button and also the bell icon so you'll be notified for future videos. Please give a thumbs up for this video. It helps with the algorithm and it'll help get the video out to a wider audience. And don't forget to subscribe to my shorts channel as well. I'll start posting content there soon. And stay tuned for another video very soon. Appreciate it. See you later. Bye-bye.